Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of Charting Markets with Jeremy. For today, let's take a look at the tech-heavy Nasdaq. After seeing quite a bit of sell-off playing through since the start of this month, I think right now seems like a interesting time to be taking a look at the Nasdaq 100 index. But first things first, taking a look at the longer-term time frame, longer-term view, still shows a valid uptrend despite the recent sell-off that we have seen over the past 1 month or so. And again, just to hit home the point, we do not expect this recent sell-off to kind of lead into a bear market here for the market as a whole. And in fact, I think the current correction phase do present a good buying opportunity for long-term investors to continue to ride on within this long-term uptrend over here. So just to highlight here on the charts what we are seeing in terms of the drawdown that we have actually seen for the Nasdaq 100 since the start of this year. You can see we have actually 2 episodes of quite a big sell-off happening. One that happened back in Feb where the Nasdaq 100 fell about 12%, and then one more somewhere back in May where the Nasdaq 100 actually fell about 7.8%. So that brings us to where we are right now in terms of how much we have actually fallen from the recent high. You can see over here the tech-heavy Nasdaq has only fallen about 6.2%, which is kind of lesser in terms of magnitude compared to the 2 previous sell-off. And in other words, we probably could have further downside here in the near term before the actual bottom actually plays out. So with that in mind, and taking a closer look at the current price action, you can see right now for the tech-heavy Nasdaq, it's still holding on to this near-term support at around 14,800 points. Multiple bounces off this floor since August. But nonetheless, the near-term price action here over the past few days does suggest that we could be looking at further breakout below this floor of 14,800 points. Which brings us to the level that I think will likely be the bottom here if we were to see further follow through to the downside. So first level that we're watching very closely would be the next support level at 14,500 points here. So this used to be a support here back in July. And if you were to take, again, a longer term view, you can see there's actually quite a nice uptrend line that was established back in October of last year. And if you were to stretch out to the current point here, it does actually coincide with this support level at 14,500 points. So in terms of downside wise, I think this level will likely be the bottom here if you were to fall to this level. And if you were to extrapolate from the recent high down to this level of 14,500 points, it does actually fall, bring us a drawdown of about 7.7%, which is much closer to the recent sell-off that was actually established back in May. So that kind of forms a nicer picture in terms of how the Nasdaq 100 will likely bottom out. And again, for investors that can actually wait out here in the near term instead of buying right now, possibly wait out for this correction down to this level, down to 14,500 points. Before looking out to actually kind of dip your feet into the market to time for a rebound to trade it back up to possibly retest this previous high of 15,700 points. So that is the base case that we have, possible downside down to around 14,500 points. However, the worst case scenario, if this support also breaks at 14,500 points, the more substantial support is actually at 14,000 points, which is a psychological support, and also at the same time where the 200-day moving average is. So if you were to fall to 14,000 points, in terms of the max drawdown that we'll be seeing from the record high of 15,700 points, that would lead us to a kind of a drawdown of about 11%, much closer to the period that we saw back in February, sell-off about 12%. So those will be the 2 levels that we're watching out for in terms of looking out to buy on the deep. First level, 14,500 points, which we think is the base case scenario that will bounce off. However, in the worst case scenario, if further fallout actually plays out, then the next support level to be looking out for further buying will be somewhere near 14,000 psychological support. And all in again, if we were to fall to those levels, I think that would again present a more attractive kind of a proposition in terms of buying the market. to actually time for the rebound back up for the Nasdaq 100 to retest the previous high of 15,700 points. If you were to look back in time, the sell-off that we saw back in February as well as in May, even though we saw market falling 12 to 7%, you can see the recovery that happened was rather sharp as well. Where the recovery actually eventually take the Nasdaq 100 back up to the previous high and in fact break new record highs. So it wouldn't surprise us that for this round, if we were to fall to those levels of 14,500 points to even 14,000 points, the recovery that would likely follow would likely also retest this previous high of 15,700 points and then eventually even breaking up to new record highs. So that will be the kind of outlook that we have, at least from a longer term perspective for the next 6 months out, eventual recovery back up to retest the previous high of 15,700 points for the Nasdaq 100. That's all we have for you guys today, and we'll see you in the next one.